everything is just great and everything is going my way today and everything has a reason. And what is the silver lining around this? What can I learn from all of this? And breathe. I
Is there
swear my
any,
heart is racing. My heart is just about to jump out of my chest. It's
wow.
full panic, you know, because it starts flashing and you've been infected and all the things. So I shut my
Oh,
computer off and now I've lost like all my pages. I can't just go email somebody right now. Like I was trying to email you, Pam. I can't,
yeah.
I can't,
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
Um,
because I guess this week's, and then you sent a reminder today, both those that came in, I tried that link to get in and I couldn't get in. I went back weeks to find another email from you, and I got in from a weeks old email that had the Zoom link on it, and that's what brought me in. But this week's, the Monday or Sunday morning, I think you, or Monday, whatever, the first one that you send, and then the reminder, I could not get in off those
I
two
wonder why
links.
if that's because there's only a few people. There's only 6 people today, which is low attendance.
Right,
And I would
right.
think fat burning foods would be a popular topic. And it has been, you know. They're the last two numbers, if you can see the numbers on the link, it's always 28.
Two
So if it's
eight.
not 28, it's not mine, or it's a wrong one.
Oh,
But just so you all know, if you are in the Facebook group, I did put the times because everybody's confused on the times of the classes, the times and the link. So if you are in Facebook, you know, Dr. Infantino's Metabolism Reset private group, if you're in that group and you're not sure, it should be pinned to the top. So even though I post stuff that eventually gets pushed down, that should be stay at the top because everybody needs to know that. You know, I don't want that to be pushed down. So anyway,
mhm.
okay, so I'm recording. I'm going to share my screen. I'm just all beside myself.
I know the feeling. It's awful. It's the worst.
Uh, okay, so today I'm going to be talking about fat burning foods, how to put your body in a fat burning zone, and we're going to review macronutrients and all kinds of other hacks to help put your body in that fat burning zone. So today we've got funnies and shout outs, of course. I am going to talk about the glycemic index. I'll talk the glycemic index versus the glycemic load. We will go over macronutrients, and then which leads us into the fat burning foods. And then I want to talk about the thermic effect of food, the foods that burn more calories just to digest. And then, of course, there's Q&A. So that's where we're starting today. So here's some funnies for you. I just crack up on some of these funnies, but we've got a few shout outs. Michelle, this week, she is off her metformin and her acid reflux meds, and she is loving this program. She's doing great. She just loves the food, and it's just all a perspective because most of you all are doing pretty much the same thing. We have to customize it for some, but um, it's all a perspective how you look at it. So good for Michelle. Kudos to her. Belinda is down 17.4 pounds. She's just fairly new. Jen is down 16.7. Doug is down 8 to 9 pounds in his first week. That is not typical, so don't get mad if you're less than that. But guys tend to lose weight faster anyway. His acid reflux is completely gone. And Olivia is just in her first 2 weeks and she's down 10 pounds. So she's pretty excited about that. So if I didn't mention your name, there's so many people that are doing fabulous. So congratulations to all of you that are doing the deal, writing your food, sending me your journals weekly, showing up to these calls or listening to the replay, just doing the best that you can. Congratulations to you on just showing up. Showing up to these is really how we train the brain into practicing the things that are going to get us to where we want to go. Okay, so let me go ahead and dive right in. So the body needs glucose for energy, from your brain to your heart, to your lungs, to your digestive system, to all your vital organs, to your fingers, to your toes. Just every bit of your body needs glucose for energy. So logically speaking, it would make sense that we eat things higher in glucose, right? Well, I am going to stop the share for a moment. All right. All right. Hopefully you guys can see this. In all of my panic, I dropped my pens here. All right, so hopefully you guys can see this. I can't make it look down, look down. All right, so hopefully you can see this. All right, so you don't have to know what your blood sugars are, but I just wrote that for demonstration purposes. But typically, like in the morning, we haven't eaten all night. Your blood sugars are fairly low. We may get hungry, we may get hangry, tired, teary-eyed, grumpy, all the things. That's what I get when I cry really easy if my blood sugars drop. It's just weird. I could feel my own disposition changing. So typical American diet, we get up in the morning, we have a pastry and a cup of coffee. Boom, we've just, send our blood sugars up, which sends our insulin levels up. Insulin is your fat storage hormone. So that's a problem that tells your body to start storing everything that you're eating as fat. But when your blood sugars spike quickly, they also plummet quickly. And then you come back down to the hungry section. Whether you need food or not, your body thinks it needs food. So we eat again, typical American diet. We go out and eat a sandwich and we go up right back into fat storage again. And then that's kind of the pattern that we're running. The trick is to go into the fat burning zone. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today, how to eat foods that, we're hungry, we get up in the morning, we eat certain foods on the glycemic index, and because they're going to be lower, it's going to put us right into that fat storage. We get a little bit hungry, we dip down, we eat again, and we stay in that fat burning zone. So I didn't know how to draw that on a PowerPoint. So I just wanted to draw that for you here. I wanted you to see that kind of live. Pam, you've been with this group for a while, so you may have seen this already, but today's topic, I feel it's near and dear to me. This is how I lost my weight. When I really dialed in on learning my glycemic index and the foods that were on the lower end of all of that, that's when the weight started falling off of my body. And I was in complete shock because I didn't change my exercise. I didn't change my calories. I just, swapped out lower glycemic foods for higher glycemic foods. So let me go back to my share screen again. All right, so hopefully that little demo made sense for you. All right, so now you have a good understanding of the glycemic index. Let me just dive into the glycemic load and then we'll go from there. I was going to go in a different order, but let me just do it how it's set up. Okay, so when we're looking at our carbohydrates, fats and proteins will not spike your blood sugars. They will not send you right into fat storage. Fats and proteins pretty much have, well, most of them have no carbs. Some of them are low carb. Some of them, it just depends, like dairy can have some carbs in there. But when we're looking at our carbohydrates, it's like when you guys say, hey, what can I have fruit? And I'll say, have a low sugar fruit. Well, what is that? I go to Google and say, hey, what is the glycemic index of, and say whatever it is, brown rice, white rice, an apple, a pear, mango, cherries, whatever it is. What we're looking for is 55 or under, or it says 54 here, but it's basically 55 or less. That's going to be considered low. The lower the number, the more it puts us in that green section. The higher the number, the quicker it puts us right here. So this is why it's really important that we avoid the high glycemic foods, and they're carbohydrates primarily. If your product is 55 to 69, that's considered medium, and anything 70 plus is considered high. Put it back on the shelf, put it back, take it out of your basket at the grocery store. Do not buy it, don't eat it. It will send your body into fat storage. Now, the glycemic load is something a little different. It's actually a little more accurate. However, there's a lot of math, and you have to know the glycemic index. You have to know how many calories. You have to know some things, and then you have to do some math. And I'm going to go over that in just a minute. But the numbers that you're looking for. So if you're going to Google something, and Google doesn't hardly have the answers for glycemic load like it does glycemic index. You can find the glycemic index for probably almost any food, or a lot of the foods, not everything, but most, whereas glycemic load is just harder to find. But if you need to know, anything lower than a 10 is considered good. Anything 11 to 19, medium, anything 20 plus, that will send you, say it with me, into fat storage mode. So avoid a high glycemic index and or a high glycemic load. So let's dive into what that looks like. So, okay, where's my little arrow? Okay, so so what you need to know to find your glycemic load, and I don't want to get all mathy and sciencey on you, but I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what that is, because it will come up when you search it. But you need to know the glycemic index of the product times how many carbs it is divided by 100. Okay. Or you could ask Google, what is the glycemic load of, white rice or whatever. But let's try that. So a half a cup of carrots, the glycemic index is 45. So 45 is a good number for us. We like that. It's less than that 55 number. It has 8.6 carbs. So 45 times 8.6. The answer to that is 387. Divide that by 100. Round it up, it comes to a 3.9 glycemic load. That's well below that 10. So that would be a really good choice. However, we got white rice, which I thought the glycemic index was 72. We Googled it yesterday and it came out as a 90. So I guess the stickier white rice, I know the sticky one is the highest glycemic. It's that sushi rice that we love so much, but it is high glycemic. But let's just see, let's see what the glycemic load is. So let's even say it's as low as 72. As low as 72. You times that by 36, which is how many carbs it is. That's kind of carby. I don't like to eat anything over 20, but let's do the math. That will equal 2,592 divided by 100. That's a glycemic load of 26. That's way over that 20 mark. That would be a heck no, put it back. Say it with me, fat storage. So for example, watermelon, that comes in the 70s, I believe. That's a glycemic index of 70. But if you do the math with that one, the glycemic load is 5. And, think about it. It's a fruit. It's natural. It's not processed. And so, having a watermelon would be an okay choice. The glycemic load actually works. So I just kind of wanted to give you the comparison there. So glycemic index isn't always the end all be all. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I could probably do it for you live now, but if you were to go to Google and Google like a Snickers bar, it is low. It's considered lower because it has so much fat. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but the short answer is fat will slow the glycemic index down from a higher glycemic food. It's not a free ticket. So if I have a high glycemic food and combine it with a fat, it's not a free ticket. It means I can eat it, It's just not going to spike my blood sugars. You're still going to be calorically dense and zero nutrition if you're eating a Snickers bar. Just putting that out there. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit more of how to get your body in this fat burning zone. So what I do is I have my clients put when I say my clients, I'm talking about before I'd worked with Dr. Infantino. My program, I was selling it as, lose weight, don't count calories. And this is how I lost my weight. I never counted calories. I was just swapping out the high glycemic stuff for the lower glycemic stuff. But the system that I'm going to show you today is something that you'll need to use once you kind of finish that first 12 weeks. So you'll hear me say things like beans or dairy. If you're in your first 12 weeks, please ignore that part. You're not having that yet. But I want to go over these 4 categories so that you're clear on them and what the portions of them are. So if you adhere to the portions and stay in your categories, you won't have to count calories. So let's get into that. Let's dive in. So the first category, I'm going to give you the why you would have that category and your portion size. Now, if you look macronutrients up in the dictionary, like who does that? But I mean, if you look it up, Google it, whatever, you're going to say 3. You're going to see fats, you're going to see proteins, and you're going to see carbohydrates. Well, as we know, a lot of the carbohydrates can send us into fat storage. So we want to be mindful and careful with those. But vegetables fall under the category of carbohydrates. And I don't want you to limit your vegetables, not your lower medium glycemic index vegetables. But why do we have vegetables? They are for your health. So when do we ever want to skip health? Never, right? We never want to skip health. So ideally, in a perfect world, if you're having vegetables at every meal in some form or fashion, and that could be a little onion with your eggs or mushrooms or spinach or, some leftover veggies last night, put in a veggie scramble, whatever. Or a handful of spinach in your blender with your smoothie, your protein shake. But ideally, having some vegetables would be good. That's your anti-aging, your minerals, your vitamins, antioxidants, all of that. And there is no limit to how many vegetables you can have. No one ever got fat eating spinach and broccoli and cabbage and green leafies. Those are your nutrition. And as you all know from counting your calories, you can eat a cup of spinach is 7 calories. So you can have a barrel of spinach and you barely have 100 calories. So please, by all means, eat your veggies. Grandma was right. Eat your veggies. So what are we talking about here? Asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, green leafies, green beans, bell peppers, hot peppers, jalapeno peppers. All the peppers are good. Carrots, tomatoes, zucchinis. All of those vegetables that you find primarily, most of them, in the produce section, in the produce section of the store. What we would avoid are potatoes and corn. Those are going to send you into fat storage anyway. They're starchy and high in sugars, so they're going to be higher glycemic, especially a baked potato or mashed potatoes, especially instant mashed potatoes. Of all the potatoes, instant mashed potatoes are the highest glycemic, send you into fat storage. What is not in the vegetable category, but seemingly a vegetable, is yams, sweet potatoes, winter squash like acorn squash, butternut squash, spaghetti squash, those kinds of squashes. You can have those. Peas, beets, fruits, and avocados. Yams, sweet potatoes, winter squash, peas, beets, and fruits are all going to go into the next category, which is carbohydrates. Avocado, we're going to put that into the fat category, just so that you know. But on the veggies, they're on the all-you-can-eat plan, so there's no limit. All right, so the next up, we've got protein. Why do we need protein? To improve or increase your metabolism. When do we ever want to not do that? I say, I always want to do that. So ideally, if we can have a protein at every meal as well, that would be ideal. So what is protein? It's chicken, your fish, your seafood, meats, porks, turkeys. For the ladies, I'd like to see you get, I know the book tells you 3, but you know, anything between at least 3 to 6 ounces. That's going to get you around 20 to 30 grams of protein in that sitting. And guys, if you're doing 6 to 8 ounces, that gets you a little bit more. They're a little bit more muscular. They're going to need to maintain that lean muscle. Eggs are about 7 grams a piece, depending on the size. Some eggs are tiny, some eggs are bigger. Some eggs are going to be about 6 grams. If you're doing cottage cheese, that's a good source. Greek yogurt is a good source if you are including dairy. What is not a protein is bacon. Come on, guys. Who doesn't love bacon? But yeah, it's a fat. There's a lot more fat than there is protein in bacon. Sausage, the visible fats on meats. If you do decide to reintroduce red meat, cut off the visible fat. The chicken skin, take your chicken skin off. This is why I don't recommend chicken wings. It's all skin. Then this is saturated fat. This is the stuff that's bad for the cardiovascular system. So the animal fats are all going to be saturated fats, whether it's dairy or the actual meats. So 10% of your calories can come from that or less, but you really want to make it minimal. We want to eat our fats, but the good ones. So like ribeye steak, it's marbled with the fat running through it. You can't cut that out. So that's something I personally wouldn't choose. I would go with the filet mignon and cut off any visible fat, or a lean top sirloin, something like that. So that's your portions. Fats, why do we need fats? They're very important, very, very important. Fats help keep you satisfied. They get you fuller sooner, keep you
You're
fuller.
what?
Oh, anymore. That's all you can eat. It's full maybe yarn.
Let's see, where am I? Okay, so they keep you full, but they also help reduce cravings. The reason they help you reduce cravings is, say you're eating a fabulous salad with purple cabbage and red bell peppers and, you know, green leafy vegetables and all the orange carrots and all the colors of the rainbow. All these wonderful fat soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, lots of those vitamins in your salad or in whatever you're eating, in your vegetables. If you're not taking a fat, your body can't absorb them. If you're not absorbing them, your body's not getting nourished. It doesn't get the nourishment that it needs. Just like even when we eat a fast food and it's the whole bag is 1,200 calories. And then 2 hours later, we want something because we didn't get nourished. We had calories, but we didn't get nourished. So even if you're eating healthy, but if you're not eating a fat and you're not absorbing the fat soluble vitamins because you didn't eat the fat, you're still going to crave. I want. And I find myself in the fridge looking for something and I don't even know what I'm looking for. It's just like a habit because I know my body instinctively knows it didn't get nourished. So how much fats do we need or should have per meal? Per meal is right. And this is only if you are not counting calories, guys. So if you're in your first 12 weeks and you're counting calories and you have avocado and you had salad dressing and you put some nuts on that salad, you know, you're fine as long as you're staying in your calorie zone. But if you're not doing the calorie counting thing and you're trying to do this little system that I'm teaching, you want to stay 15 to 20 so it keeps your calories in the right zone. What does that look like? It's a 1/4 cup of nuts, tablespoon of your healthy oils, avocado, coconut, olive, 2 tablespoons of nut butter, almond butter, stuff like that. 2 tablespoons of salad dressing, half avocado. That'll get you, that's 1 serving of fat. That'll get you about 15 to 20 grams. 1 egg yolk is about 5 grams. 4 ounces of salmon is about 15 grams. That's perfect. So, okay, let me go. I'll review that in the end. So, okay. So bad fats versus good fats. Nuts, seeds, coconut oils, or coconut, olive, avocado oils, avocados, nut butters, nuts, butter, regular grass-fed butter, olives, and salmon. If you are doing dairy like yogurt or cottage cheese, if it's not fat-free, be aware that there is saturated fat in there. Again, we're avoiding the visible fats, chicken skin, vegetable oils, soybean oils, hydrogenated oils or partially hydrogenated oils, which is basically margarine, which is basically the same molecules as plastic. Don't do margarine, just do real food. Don't do your fake foods. Margarine is fake butter. Just do real butter and be done. The bad fats are the saturated ones, things like chips and dairies and things like that. The dairy fats, cheeses, things of that nature. All right, and then lastly, we have our carbs. Why do we need carbs? As I said in the beginning, well, carbs give us energy, so it would make sense. I'm low in energy, maybe I need more carbs. And that might even be true for some of you that have cut out carbs completely, and then you message me and you say you're dragging. I might say, you're not having any of the brown rice or the quinoa or the lentils. Make sure you have at least one, if not 2 servings, which is a half a cup, to maybe elevate your energy levels. A serving is, like I said, a half a cup. And if you're looking at grams of carbs on your labels, I wouldn't go more than 30. Next week, I'm talking about, I changed my lineup, guys, because if you ask, I will accommodate. Everybody wanted the label reading class, so that's coming next. So next week, I'm going to talk about how to differentiate your carbs and how all that works, because not all carbs are created equal. But most things are about a half a cup. But if your product is 30 carbs, but it has some fiber in there, then you're going to minus out your fiber. It might bring you closer to that 15 or 20. But again, right now we're only doing 1 or 2 servings of carbs per day. So, but don't put 2 servings in one meal, because that could send us back into that fat storage mode. Even if it's a lower glycemic carb, we don't want to have too much, because that can still elevate the blood sugars. So stick with a half a cup, not more than twice a day, but separately. So what are carbs? Fruits are carbohydrates. That's a simple carbohydrate. Beets are in the carbohydrate category. So even though it's a vegetable, you don't want to go put the beets on all you can eat. I bought some beets. I found them at Trader Joe's. I love beets, and they go lovely in a salad. But you got to be mindful, no more than half a cup of those. Peas are very low carb, but they're still very starchy vegetables, so I put them in the carb category. Beans, if you're bringing beans back into your, go back. Where did my thing go? Lentils, split peas. Barley is very high in gluten. It's very hearty. It's comfort food, but it's a good low carb, but it's very high in gluten. So you're not having barley right now. Quinoa, brown rice, oatmeal. You don't want to go instant. You want to go the old fashioned, and that's after the first 12 weeks. As I mentioned, winter squash, yams, sweet potatoes, and eventually after 12 weeks, if you choose, bringing certain breads back like Ezekiel or sourdough, pumpernickel. Dave still has added sugars. So that's, they're the quality ingredients, but they still have some added sugar. So once in a while. While we're avoiding rice, white rice, potatoes, corn, chips, popcorns, crackers, anything with added sugars, of course, regular waffles, pancakes, bagels, breads that are made with wheat flour or white flour, cereals, even low sugar Cheerios turn to sugar because it's so processed, immediately will tell your body to store fat. Turns to sugar instantly in your body. So that's very misleading, because it'll say right on the front of the box, only 1 gram of sugar, but it's just one of those processed wheats that will turn to sugar in your body. Rice Krispies or anything with added sugars, or instant because it's processed, will spike his blood sugars faster than the old fashioned. So be mindful of that. Okay, so let me go back again. All right, so let me put all of that together. So if you're trying to do the plan with not counting calories, you would pick one thing from each category and stay in a single serving from each category. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I want to give you the full picture. So just hang in there with me. So for example, I go to a Mexican restaurant and I'm looking at the menu. I say, oh, look, I'll get a tostada salad. I see it comes in a tortilla shell bowl. So when the waiter comes, I'll just tell him no tortilla shell. So we know it's going to sit on a bed of romaine lettuce. Oftentimes they have shredded cabbage, or there's pico de gallo, or salsa, tomatoes, cilantro, things like that. So that would come from my vegetable category. Check. Oh, good. Now veggies are on the all you can eat. So if there's other vegetables on that plate, we're good. You can't overdo it on the vegetables. But my box has been checked with vegetables, good, because you want to make sure your vegetables are on every meal, as we said, ideally, because that's for your health. Next box we have to check is, where's my protein? So, okay, so this one I ordered grilled shrimp, or I picked a grilled chicken. Great, that box is checked. Next, we have fats. Oh, well, when I look at this menu, it comes with cheese, it comes with sour cream, and it comes with guacamole. Uh-oh, that's 3. What's the rule? Pick one. Now, obviously, your guacamole is your healthiest choice. It's not going to be the saturated fat that the other 2 are. But even, moving forward and you're really doing good with your plan and you're maintaining your weight, you go, I'm just in a mood for cheese, you would get rid of the guacamole and the sour cream and take the cheese. But again, just to confirm, obviously your avocado or your guacamole would be your best fat, but box checked. So we're not also going to have the other fats. Am I making sense? Okay. And then the last thing is carbs. I see, oh, look on the menu, it says it comes with rice and beans. Now, if you're past your 12 weeks and whole beans are something that you would like to put back in your diet, obviously you want to stay in that half cup of zone. But I would tell the waiter, no rice, because we know that Spanish rice is made with white rice. It's just white rice with tomato and other delicious spices. Yeah, it tastes good, but it's still high glycemic, so we want to avoid that. Beans are a lower glycemic food because of all the fiber. So sticking to that one thing per category. So I'm just going to have the beans. Now there's tortilla chips sitting on the table. If I chose that, and that's also a fat too, because it's been fried in oil. Now I have to take away my guacamole and my beans. But for now, I would just say avoid the chips, because we all know they're not going to be cooked in the right oil. But you want to check all your boxes. If you're not doing carbs at that meal, you would just tell them no rice or no beans. Did I make sense? Okay. All right. I put this picture up here because this is kind of called life. Like we make soups, we make stews, we make chilies, we make things. If you're practicing eating in these ways of categories and keeping in mind, where's my categories? Where's my protein? Where's my fat? And where's my veggies? We want those pretty much at all three. You want all 3 at each meal, ideally. So when I'm looking, let's look at the left with the soup. It looks like it's got cabbage and celery and carrots, maybe some mushrooms. If it has pieces of chicken in it, then I'll know it's got some protein. I see it's got plenty of vegetables, and it doesn't look like there's much, if anything, fat-wise in it. So I can see it's probably, if it's got chicken, protein and vegetables. So I would check off those 2 categories. I can still have something else that has a fat and maybe a carbohydrate. But if you don't see hardly any chicken in there, know that you're probably not getting enough protein. So let's look at this, what looks like beef stew at the bottom. Now, those are likely potatoes, but they could be turnips, which is a better choice. That's a good swap, turnips versus potatoes. You can see there's other vegetables. There's peas, which are a carb. That's good. It's got celery. There might be carrots, maybe tomatoes or something. And then it's got the beef. There's your proteins. And then your chili, we know it has beans. That's a carb. We know it has ground turkey in it or ground beef. We see the cheese, that's a fat. So we've got carbs, protein, and fats. If there's no real vegetables to speak of, you know you need to add a vegetable to that meal. But I want you to look at your blended foods like stews and soups and chilies and the thing, and practice what you see as practice putting your things in categories. And that'll get you looking for, oh, wait, I'm missing a vegetable. Oh, wait, there's no fat at this meal. I think that will help anyway. All right, so some hacks to slow the glycemic impact. So say we're eating, you're doing the program, but maybe you oopsie or you plan to eat something that's a little on the higher glycemic side, which we avoid mostly. Oh, this one. I put this one in there because typical American diet, we start our day with pancakes or cereals, or pastries, things of that nature, donuts. It's just American way. That's how we were raised. That's what's for breakfast. So if we start our day with a savory breakfast like eggs or omelets, that would be a much better way to keep your body in that fat burning zone. Did someone raise their hand? Oh, okay. Feel free to unmute. Feel free to unmute and ask a question if you have one. Otherwise, we'll get them at the end, but don't be shy. And if you are, I'll give you my email at the end. You can email me or text me. The next one is adding vinegar, lemon, cinnamon, or capsicum to your meals. Vinegar, lemon, and cinnamon will actually lower the glycemic impact. So if I'm having a bowl of oatmeal, for example, the glycemic is going to have a certain impact. But if I added cinnamon to that same oatmeal, it's going to move up a little bit slower and ensure that I stay here and don't get up here. If I'm having some kind of rice and I add a little bit of lemon or vinegar to it, if I like those flavors, which I love lemon, it will slower the glycemic impact. So if it's a medium rice, some rices are high glycemic, some are in the low. As you know, the brown rice is lower. So adding these things, capsicum is these chilies, the spiciness of them, and those help your body metabolize fat. So that'll help speed up your metabolism. So that's another little hack I wanted to share with you. The next one, Pam, this one always makes me think of you because you were so impressed with this little tidbit, but it's really important. And I swear I do this all the time. But you want to eat your food in a certain order. As I mentioned, the Snicker bar is not high glycemic, but it's a candy bar. It's full of sugar. Why is that? Because it's got so much fat in it from the chocolate and the nuts. It slows the glycemic impact down. So that's why the glycemic index is not a yes or a no guaranteed. There's other factors, but when we're looking at fruits, that's how we know. But anyway, you want to start your meal with your veggies. The main reason for that is that's where your fiber comes from, and it coats your intestines. So when the carbs do get in there, it takes longer for those sugars to get absorbed into the body. So it slows down the glycemic impact, keeping you in that fat burning section and not putting you into that fat storage. The next two choices you can have would be either fat or protein. Protein and fat will kind of coat your intestines. So it takes a lot longer for those sugars to pass through and get into your bloodstream, which means it's going to keep you in fat burning, not fat storage. Then when you finish, like if I eat yams, I told you guys this last night or yesterday, I love my yams and I make them super sweet with my no sugar maple syrup and with my cinnamon. I saute it in coconut oil, so there's my fat, going to slow it down as well. And I enjoy that, and I've been able to maintain my healthy weight. So the order in which you eat your food is really, really important. And then lastly, get up and go for a walk after dinner or after lunch. It's just a good way to get that circulation going. Walking 10 minutes, it's a good habit. And I just really encourage that. All right, so here is the final piece today. And this is an interesting thing. So there's something called the thermic effect of food. And what that is your body burns calories breaking down certain foods. So your body, it takes more calories to break down protein than it does to break down carbs and fats. And I found this little cartoon thing. So if you eat 200 calories of protein, your body's going to burn 60 calories to break it down. So you're really only taking in 140. Carbohydrates, if they're simple, it's going to be less, but 200 calories of carbs, you're still taking in a whole 180 because it doesn't take much. Fat doesn't take much at all. This is why fats and veggies are something that we give you 2 days before your cleanse, because your body's going to break it down. Super easy. It doesn't have to work so hard to digest, taking days and days to do it. That's why protein's not loud. And I'll tell you, and I've been studying weight loss for a lot of years, and the last study I read, there was 2 groups of women doing, the thing they had in common is they were all women and they were all doing strength training. And one group they put on a lower protein diet and the other was a higher protein diet. The higher protein had to eat more calories because you can't get that much protein in without adding more calories. Lower protein had a little bit lower calories, and the group that was lower calorie did not lose body fat. They lost some weight, but they lost lean muscle, not fat. Whereas the higher calorie, higher protein group lost body fat. Their body composition improved. So I don't know about weight, I don't remember the weight loss, but instead of more fat, they had more muscle and lost fat. So that's why I talk about proteins. And guys, if you can do me a favor, if you're journaling and sending me, instead of writing chicken, vegetables, and rice, if you can at least tell me 4 ounces of chicken, I'm going to know you had enough. Because I don't know if you're having a bite of chicken or if you're eating a whole entire chicken. It just helps me know if you're at least in the ballpark. But anyway, what you eat, your protein is going to, that's why high protein diets are really good for body composition. So don't be afraid to eat. If you're hungry or want something extra, eat some protein. Take a protein shake. Those are always good. That'll satisfy your sweet tooth as well. Phew. All right. Okay. So does anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts about what I said? And feel free to unmute if you're muted. Yes, Pam.
For the hacks to slow the GI, you mentioned vinegar. What about rice vinegar?
Yep.
So that would equate equally to the ACV, apple cider vinegar?
Yep. Now, apple cider vinegar with the mother has digestive enzymes. It has other health benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
Okay.
comparatively speaking, as far as I know, the vinegars, Dr. Infantino has suggested not to do balsamic because in the process of becoming balsamic, it turns into some sugars.
Okay.
So not that one. I mean, it's not the end of the world. If you go to a restaurant and they give you balsamic vinegar and olive oil, that's going to be your better choice than than your pre-made salad dressings that are probably going to have sugars and probably dairies and other things in there.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Um, one more question. I've been noticing after I do a workout that my glucose spikes. Um, so I want to know if that is normal when you work out. If um, you know, as you're trying to get your energy from the
So what I
glucose,
do know about that is you got most of it's stored in the liver, some of it is stored in the muscle, and some of it is stored in the blood. A little bit is
right,
stored in the blood, but some is
right,
stored in the muscle. Um, and so if you're working out, your body's needing more glucose because that's your energy to
right.
get through the workout. So your liver might be releasing some into the bloodstream. That's the logical answer to that. But
You've
uh,
never come across that yourself in your
I don't
workouts
test
where
my
you,
blood sugar, so I don't, to be honest, I don't really know.
okay, okay,
I know
okay,
I don't have a blood sugar issue. I just
right.
had my blood work done last week and it was within normal. So
Yeah, me too. I
I
don't
have,
have a blood sugar issue. I never have, but I test daily just to understand my food intake, and I do it with my ketones as well. It's together.
oh,
Um,
interesting. That's cool.
yeah, yeah. And so I've just been noticing because I'm doing this new exercising, like the HIIT and the circuit and the weight training, and it's kicking my butt. I feel like a million times better than when I would be on the treadmill or, it's such a different experience. And I would come home again on an empty stomach. Um, and so there's no food there, and I don't have a blood sugar issue, but it would be pretty high, like over 100, 120 maybe. And the only thing that makes sense is my liver is releasing the insulin. So I wanted to ask you, just, in hoping that
Well,
maybe you
the liver is releasing the glucose.
glucose,
And
not
your
insulin.
insulin will have to take, do its part
Okay.
and hold its hand and get it into the cell where it needs to go.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
but if your body is going through a workout, you
Yeah.
need glucose to finish. Like my silly examples, like when the body runs out or when the car runs out of gas, it stops. When we run out of gas, we find it somewhere else. So it's
Right.
going to go for the muscle. The liver will start to release. The body does what it needs to do to keep on going. It doesn't want to stop like the car will.
Yeah. No.
Um, that would be
Yeah.
my best guess for that.
Yeah. And after a couple of hours, it goes back under 80, which is my kind of, right before a meal. So after that 2 to 4 hours, it evens off and it goes. So that's what I'm thinking is it's pulling the glucose for the workout,
Yeah,
and then it normalizes once the workout stops. And in fact, I eat carbs, probably the most carbs Ezekiel bread I just had today. Like the most carbs will be right after my workout.
that's
I
perfect.
test before I eat though, not, but then I'll eat a carb, one of the ones exactly that you've talked about, and within 3 hours, I'm back down to normal. So
Yeah,
it's really just the after burn, the after, and then I guess that my next question was, when it's that high, is it factored into that A1C? Is it calculated the same way the A1C is
that I don't
calculated?
know. I
Yeah,
don't know how they calculate that.
yeah. If
We
if
don't
if
learn in all of the certifications. They've never talked about A1C. I hear it all the time from you guys sending me your numbers who have A1C numbers to give me. But in all of my certifications, it's just not been addressed.
when you had your testing last week, you would have gotten your glucose and then your A1C, which is the 3-month average. If you had your testing last week,
But everything was normal.
so yeah, and your A1C would be normal. That number, would reflect it's just an average over the 3 months, the A1C. So you take it daily. So your glucose on the day of your labs will be what it is today. And then they have the A1C is that calculation of average over 3 months. So that's what I was wondering, that if I spike every day after my workout, does that actually factor into the A1C? We'll find out, but I was wondering if maybe, you might know and stuff. So if I come across some info, I'll definitely share.
Let me know. Let me know.
Yep.
That's good information. I've got someone asking me in chat, what are some good examples of pre-workout meals? That is a fabulous question. So thank you for presenting that. And so back to our 4 categories, we've got carbs are for energy. So what are carbs? I was talking about beets. When I owned my vitamin store, in my pre-workout section, I had beetroot powder.
Yeah.
Because it is a vasodilator, but it does have it does have sugars within it. So it's, for the people who wanted a clean pre-workout, because most pre-workouts have sucralose and other chemically things. But if you wanted to eat a really clean, but a piece of fruit before you work out, and I know I'm talking about a little bit, if you're doing fruit, I don't know if you've introduced fruit yet or not, but carbohydrates within that 30-minute window before and after your workout, obviously a little bit. You don't want to eat too much food, you won't feel good. But beetroot powder was one of the things that we used as a pre-workout powder, to just drink that and you just have more energy and go. Just gives you more energy. But yeah, carbs, pretty much the carbs would do it. If you're going to have brown rice or lentils, or if you've introduced oatmeal back in, something like that, you could do that. An apple, you could do that. Anybody else?
Can you talk a little bit about nut butters?
Yes. So nut butters, I believe a serving is 2 tablespoons. So nut butters could be peanut butter, which peanuts are a legume, so those are not in the first 12 weeks. There's almond butter, there's cashew butter, sesame seed butter, there's different nut butters out there. I think they're good. I don't eat a lot of bread, so I don't have a lot of use for them. I don't know what to put them on. You could put them on a celery stick, like we did that was a snack when I was a kid. And I know what I do use it for is I make protein balls. So I put, and I prefer the taste of peanut butter, so I do use peanut butter. But if you're in 12 weeks, as I said, use almond butter. And you put in a chocolate protein powder and some cacao, maybe a little bit of agave, and you keep folding it till it gets to be to the consistency where you could roll it into little balls. And then I freeze it. And then it's like a little chocolatey peanut butter deliciousness, sweet ball, but it's primarily protein and fat. So it's guilt-free because it's not a piece of candy, but it's like one. And cacao has good healthy benefits. The peanut butter is a good healthy fat. Obviously the protein powder's sweet and delicious and going to give you some protein. Someone asked if milk is allowed after 12 weeks and which one is best. I do not encourage a lot of dairy, period. For me, if you're going to have a little bit of cheese, your best bet is goat's milk or sheep's cheese, not cow cheese. If you're going to have a cow cheese, go with grass-fed. Personally, as far as milks go, I drink coconut milk or almond milk. I put that in my Ticino. You can make like a chia seed pudding with your almond milk or coconut milk. I use the canned coconut milk for a creamy base when I'm making a sauce, like a curry sauce or like a Florentine sauce, Alfredo type of sauce. I will use the canned coconut milk. I'm not sure if that's the question that you're asking, Kimmy. Did I answer that? If you're wanting to just drink a glass of milk, you could eventually, but it's just not great for us. It causes a lot of mucus in the body, and which can be an inflammatory, and it also hinders the absorption of vitamins. So I'm just not a fan, nutritionally speaking. Hopefully that answers. Oh, yes, I did. Chai tea. I gotta know what's in the chai tea. You send me an ingredient list. I don't know what's in it. I don't know if chai tea has dairy in it or not. I just don't never have that. So I don't look at that label. I don't know. But I can tell you, once I look at the label, I'll know. And by the way, after next week, you guys will know once you look at your labels. Great, perfect. All right, she's going to send me the label. So yeah, if you guys have questions about any other foods, my first question out of my mouth is always, well, what's in it? So be sure to send me what it is, but so I get an idea what I'm looking at. But if I see the ingredients list, I'll easily be able to tell you thumbs up or thumbs down. All right. Anybody else? All right, well, I'm glad you are all here. I appreciate your comments and your questions and your input. Really do appreciate that. It helps me know what you know and don't know. It helps me know what you guys want to know. We're all in this together. You know, I pick the topics each week because I want to make sure that in the 12 weeks that you get all of the most important topics. So I try not to repeat the most important ones too much so that you're not getting a repeat, but at least once every 3 months. But if there's something that I'm not teaching that you're wanting to learn, by all means, message me and let me know. I'd love to include that, even if it's a subtopic somewhere. But if it's stuff you want to know, I'll put it in. I want you to get what you want. I want you to feel confident when you finish your 12 weeks, you'll have all the information you need. Anybody have any shares or wins or struggles that they want to discuss before? All right, well, I appreciate you all being here today. Next week will be label reading. I will be revealing what those big box diet companies don't want me to tell you because they want you to buy their stuff and they want you to pay extra for it. But after next week, you'll know exactly the tricks they're using. So hopefully I will see you all next week.